What's happening, everybody? Welcome back for another Colquitt's Corner monthly analysis. We're going to take a look here. Start off with the S&P 500. It's been super exciting for a lot of people because, well, there's been a lot of volatility, a lot of things happening here. But let's take a look and see if it's worth getting freaked out over, right? Let's take a see. We got the monthly, right? We're looking at here, and you could see we're last month had a pullback, all right? We're now opening up. We did hold, though, okay? We held within this bar, within this range. Super important. So you see we closed here. When closed here, we didn't close really above the high, but we didn't really come down here and below the close. And then I got a level here that I want to go ahead and mark off. This level is going to end up being important for us to basically gauge on us staying bullish or not. We really need to stay above. We need to close above. If we come back down and close below, could be some concern. As you can see right here, though, we are still bullish. We're bullish above the cloud. We're bullish above the green line here. The red line's also in here too as well. It's in sync with the green line. And what we'd like to see is maybe for this to separate and move up, maybe either of these to get some momentum. But again, we're looking at the monthly, so we got some time, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly and get an idea. All right, I think we got one more month before that red line moves. So let's go take a look at the weekly and see where we're at. And here we are on the weekly, okay? If you take a look, we have managed to do a breakout here, okay? It triggered this breakout. It's still in motion. It's not the best, but we are holding that level. As you can see here, came down, it's coming back up. We did break below this pivot here, this pivot high, which was a little alarming. Definitely something we wanted to pay attention to, but we are holding, like I said, that IMTF on the monthly, right? And we need to continue holding that level, especially if we got this Cajunson moving up. We need to get back above this Tinkinson. I am going to go ahead and mark off that level as a resistance. So we now have a support and resistance level that we need to basically break one way or another to figure out which direction we want to go. So we're going to range in between here. Really can't make any long-term decisions until otherwise. So set your alerts and pay attention to these levels, and let's see what happens. You can see here that Tinkerson does line up with this pivot high, which is a little alarming. So it could hold. And as you can see so far in this week, we've been holding that. Now, if we take a look at that red Cajunson is going to come into play here on the daily. And as you can see here, that red Cajunson matches up perfectly with the that red Tinkerson matches up perfectly with the green Cajunson here on the daily. And it came up to that, right? Hit it and bounced off. And now we're going down. So this actually occurred. We got a big short today right around, I think, 3-ish or so when, oddly enough, when Trump put a tweet out. Imagine that. They was able to move the market. So we were sitting at a key resistance level, and he managed to move it. Who knows if he did, but I'm just saying it just happened that he put a tweet out, and there it was. So now I do want to take a look at this level, though, because this level is very important. Back when we had this major pullback, I posted on my Instagram, and I was looking at these two crosses right here, some key pullback levels, and I actually ended up getting stopped out of that trade for a loss. And if you notice, it came down, it came back up to that level, held that level, and then shorted even lower, okay? Which was a confirmation that on a level I was looking out for, but not necessarily in the right direction, okay? I did take some shorts and some trades on the lower time frames with smaller risk, not so much big risk like on that daily. And then now we're back up and we're hitting it again, and we held, and now we're coming back down. The question is, what are we going to come back down to? All right. And we just really need to be smart, okay, about what we want to do. Like I said, we're in this range here, all right, and we need to be very careful about that range. Also, you can point out some of these key levels, right? If you don't necessarily have the crosses, best way to do is maybe just look at the pivot highs and the pivot lows, okay? So you got some areas you could take a look at. If you take a look at this pivot high, let's go ahead and move this up a little bit, right? And if you notice there, you came back and you hit it here. All right. You've also got some areas in here that you could take a look at. And again, you can get a little carried away, but just try to stick to the most obvious that stick out. All right. Right now, it's just this range. I would just keep it simple to these two ranges. All right. And again, just be careful within these ranges. And until you get above and beyond some of these ranges or below and out of these ranges, then you make your longer term decisions. Right. Keep it simple. So at a short term, I'd at least target maybe to this Tinkinson if you're going bearish, and to the Cajunson if you're going bullish. All right. If you take a look at the 4 hour, we broke out of this cloud here, and we had an ugly breakout setup. It even triggered it. It's pulled back, stopped it out, and came back up. And it's just this really large consolidation range that's pretty ugly, to tell you the truth. You got the bottom here, and you got up here where we've double hit a couple times. And truthfully, I just, it's no fun until we get out of that. So just be careful. Definitely need to pull back here. Probably pull back to this Tinkinson with these purple dots and so on. So if you do see some upward movement, look at it to go at least to there. And then, or wait till it gets to there and breaks it and see if you can continue to go to bullish after you get past this level and so on. So just keep your risk low. Volatility is there. If you know what you're doing and you don't mind taking on the risk, there's some good money to be made, especially if you're super aggressive. You get in and out. If you're looking for more of those longer term plays, like I said, we need to get above this level, especially if you've got some contracts on from before and you want to know if you need to get out. Again, we're in a range. So let's see what happens once we get out of this little zone to make your longer term decisions. All right. Now let's go take a look at gold. And gold went all the way up, got overextended like we discussed, okay, has pulled back, and you can see here the Tinkinson's gone flat, so that would be our first support to take a look at, okay. You could even mark off here for some of you guys that like to do those pivot highs, so you can go back there, take a look at that as well, right? But definitely lock in these two key areas as far as targets going down or how far this could pull back since this is overextended. Right, but pretty straightforward. The monthly is very bullish with a minor pullback on the monthly. So long term, still looking good. Let's go take a look at the weekly. And of course, that flat Tinkinson would have been in the Cajunson, and it has already moved. So that's a sign that probably the Tinkinson on the monthly will be moving here shortly as well. And you can see it is pushing up, and we have reached this level. Now, this is a key support that it came all the way back to, held. Okay, and is now pushing back up. All right, and we got a little divergence going on here with the Tinkinson and the Cajunson, so it'll be interesting to see. But at least now we've got a true range between these two levels here. Okay, if we go and take a look at the daily, let's go peek at that. And before the cloud even comes in, you can see a little bit of that range there. Yep, there it is. It's consolidated. Hit the Cajunson, bounced off, hit it again, bounced off at the bottom of the cloud. Now we're back up to the Cajunson again, bouncing off the Cajunson, back up on the Tinkinson. We are forming a breakout. We got to see what's going to happen here. Again, set your alerts. You've got your range. Let's get in and out of here. Let's see what happens. We know the higher time frames are bullish, even though here on the daily we're seeing some bearish sentiments. So it's got a higher probability for this to fail than to break out. Okay, if it does break out, that is hugely significant because it's trying to go against the higher time frames. You're not going to get much downside, though. You definitely want to shoot for the moon on that one, or the bottom of the ocean in this case. But just keep your eye out. Set your alerts. We need to get back above this Cajunson. Get it out of this cloud and then back bullish above this level to get long again bullish. But in the meantime, we're ranging. If you take a look at the 4 hour, you're just probably going to get a bigger picture of that. Just this consolidation range. Look at it. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. And it's pretty clear, that we're also in a smaller consolidation within a bigger consolidation. So, yeah, this consolidation here, wound, broke down, only to come back up to test the bottom of that consolidation range, bounce off of it, probably come down here and test the bottom of this consolidation range and consolidate until it can get itself free to trend. So, set your alerts. Keep your eye on it, okay? Gold is not there yet. Neither is the ES, so definitely going to be slow here for a second. Let's go take a look at crude oil. All right. Crude is definitely bearish. We've been talking about it being bearish for quite some time. It did manage to come back up above the Tinkinson and break it and then come back down. So it looks like we're getting some bearish movement. But pretty strong bearish on the monthly. Let's go take a look at the weekly and see what we're getting into here. And as you can see, we are holding the bottom of this cloud. Okay, we are now back at a resistance. This is super important to see if this level holds here on this Tinkinson. We'll take a look at the lower time frames as well. But that looks like a very key level here, especially if it holds and then we go back down. Then our next target would be, at least here to this Cajunson before we could see further moving on down, possibly. So there's some obstacles, but for the most part, this is bearish. It's staying within the cloud, and we'll have to just see what happens from here. Be very aggressive. And it looks like the story amongst all this is that we're just kind of in some ranges right now before we can get long, which, who knows? Maybe the elections after that. Nothing wrong with doing some research into that, but you can see here on the daily has come up into some consolidation range, and we've gotten back into the cloud, hit, never even got back up to the top here before we folded back down again to get bearish. Now we're below out of the cloud, and we just need to get our momentum free, and once we get our momentum free, you can go bearish. So again, just consolidating in the long run until we get our momentum free and on the lower time frames, but pretty much bearish. Let's take a look at the 4 hours. Pretty much the same thing like we were talking about with gold. Just this huge consolidation within a consolidation. But again, it's on the bearish side. Here we are. We tried to break out. We got a bullish breakout, but it doesn't look that strong. Very weak. Low probability of going bullish. We're even below. It looks like below the Tinkinson here and a couple of these MTFs. If it holds here and we ride back down, that could be the story that we see here. So crude oil is definitely bearish. And let's get to the Bitcoin. Everybody wants that Bitcoin 2000. All right, monthly, same picture as always. I keep talking about this big, huge consolidation range. It keeps getting a little bit tighter, lower lows, higher highs, and so on. And we get in this range. We do need a pullback based on the conjunction here. So it looks like we're going to see a pullback down, possibly to here, unless this Tinkinson moves beforehand. If we get over here into the weekly, you can see we've been on this breakout that's pretty weak and is struggling still in this weekly consolidation range. We are below the Tinkinson, so not a good sign to stay bullish unless we get above it. Let's see what the daily is in correlation with that Tinkinson, because that Tinkinson should be some of a sign for the Cajunson. There it is, and of course, look at that. Yeah, it's on a bearish side, a bearish breakout. It's not the highest probability for a bearish breakout, but we are holding here at this IMTF, or at least for the day. We'll see what happens here. Really needs to work itself out before you can get some good signs. Let's see what same thing here. It's just the consolidations within consolidations within consolidations. So just looking to wind in and out. If you're playing some of these, look for the volatility within this consolidation range. That's really it, man. I mean, the biggest thing to play for you guys, if you're playing some of this volatility, be super careful, because that's how they get your money, the in and outs, the quick moves, you not being ready, not playing with stops, not knowing where your targets are. I mean, at the end of the day, you really only have control over two parts. That's your entry and your exit, and you better know where you're getting in and where you're getting out, and don't play games with that, because once you're in the market, you're at the mercy of the market. And they're playing all the games too. And let me tell you, man, there's nothing worse than the market and all its things that it's got working against you. And then you're also working against yourself. So I was just talking with a friend today, man. Just make sure you got your A game together, especially when it comes to that volatility. And for the long term, we are not there yet. So be patient. And these markets will eventually work themselves out. So if you're not good at volatility, I would advise just sit back, watch those levels I pointed out, and wait for some of those alerts to hit, and then go back and reassess. So it's going to be a second, all right? But that's the long game, man. That's how they do it, and honestly, that's how we should all be thinking too. So But in the meantime, I do appreciate you guys joining me again for another monthly analysis, and catch y'all soon, man.